이명을 못 쓰겠습니다.
bên thằng luôn lại hô thiên thu leo chính lâu ra lại sẽ đông sa thiên sa lung tình cùng mẹ mau chấp bom.
When our great-grandfathers fought the mighty British Empire in their guerrilla warfare to protect their honor, their lands, and their freedom. It was a match that was so unequal and long for defeat for our great-grandfathers stand. Yet, by dint of their courage, their valor, their loyalty, their unity and fearlessness, the war went on for 2 glorious years. Excerpts from chapter number 7 of the Anglo-Kuki War, 1917 to 1919, Victory in Defeat, written by Colonel Dr. Vijay Chenji. The Anglo-Kuki conflict was a prolonged low-intensity asymmetrical war between 2 belligerents with contrasting capabilities and characteristics. On the one hand, the British, a global economic and military power with colonies in all the continents, had a well-organized military force of Manipur and surrounding areas with virtually no resources, had a highly motivated and skilled warriors fighting an unconventional warfare. It was clearly the case of 2 unequal forces involved in a war of honor. Hi everyone, good evening. This is Caroline now at Kapong, your Vice President as well as your host for this evening. I welcome you all to this short program, especially today's guest of honor, Dr. Colonel Vijay Chenji, as well as other distinguished guests. Before we start our program today, I would like to call upon Dr. T.L. for an invocation prayer.
So we pause for a moment of prayer. Gracious Lord, Heavenly Father, we thank you and praise you for this wonderful opportunity as we come to listen our history, the fact of our people and our great-grandfather and also our parents who fought. And also we thank you, Father, for the Colonel Vijay. Lord, thank you for his life, for contributing to the Kuki societies and by writing the fact of our history as we're going to have interaction. And also, Lord, retrospecting what the Kuki people are, how the Kuki people are, who we are, and what we were. Lord, today as we begin, we need your guidance that our meetings will be fruitful and which would be motivating and encouraging next generations of the Kuki society. We commit all these things in Jesus' holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Good evening once again. It's a very short time. So for the opportunity, let's have this discussion session today. And thank God for giving us an opportunity to host this program for this very young. Just like I mentioned a few videos of how it's been organized. So we had some information given to us by the history organization which and we didn't know the service here in Bangalore. So since we realized that history cannot organize in Bangalore, we were like, there's case over here, so we took the thing and have some responsibility. That's how we thought about it. And also, as ASO or motto is to learn, motto is to learn. So we thought this would be wonderful for us to have a discussion with you. Also, learn from you about our history. It's something we found very interesting. We have the plans is very to organize the career, session and all of that. We have to do all of this, so we thought we read out of this because we thought it was very important. Considering the fact that last time we had a wonderful election back home, and everybody was doing some discussion and history we started left and right. So we thought Sir came out at a very wonderful time for us to also engage in this sort of discussion. And as students, as a student leader, we also felt it was important for students in the diaspora to understand all our history and discussions. And this was happening as well. So I also have on behalf of the ASO Student Organization, thanks sir for lending your valuable time. He just started in the US to live for a long time. So thank you for being here and thank you for actually when I called him, he said something very interesting, I'm very happy with that. He said, I'm always available for cookies. where they got it. So it was really heartwarming, heart-touching as soon as I called him. So after that, our discussion flowed really well. So thank you for that, sir. I also like to thank the people who turned out today. Sunday is a pretty busy day for all of us, and especially the fact that there's a World Cup nomination tonight. Some of the thought we have a World Cup tonight as well. So thank you for turning up. I also like to thank our pastors who have been studying for many years. We are the one who always practice. We are going to use for the night of your presence. I also would like to thank my members for coming out with this idea, for supporting this idea. What I would like to also request is that if the student check right now, so if you have some questions you want to ask, please write it down, check. Even in translation, English translation video. So that means so whoever wants to ask question, please write there, just like the person will see. So during the Q&A session, we can utilize that. If you want to write down more dialect, English translation, so please do that. And we also hope that after Sir takes time to the Q&A session, we engage all of you to participate and we will ask questions about what we have tonight. So, and once again, thank you all of you for coming out. We hope that this will be starting a beginning of something new for all of us, and also relations with program agency. We hope this will be beginning with ESA and have many more wonderful associations and gatherings in the future. Thank you so much.
Brother Michael Kautan, IEAS, he is currently posted at IFA headquarters, 3 Courts, Dimapur.
First of all, I'd like to say here, we are more or less of the same fraternity, I would say. Though we are often heads, we have to line in a day. I am from the Defense Comm Service, and I've been interacting with so many armed officers. I can see the passion and their commitment to the service of the nation. And here we have Vijay, who is within our kind of spirit, and it's a pleasant surprise that of all the courses he has taken up the course of the Kuki society. The Kuki represent athletes in the glorious chapter of the Indian movement. But till date, I believe we might be the first person outside of the Kuki community to write about this. And I don't know how this has come about, but this is really, it's very unfortunate that the mainstream Indian history, the mainstream Indian society, they are not aware of this progression of the country. So with your book, we hope that this chapter will be disseminated across the country, and in due course of time, we would like to see this included in the NCERT textbooks for the class students. As of now, all we see is, with due respect, Rani continue in mainstream history, but I'm not sure. In fact, this would be one of my questions, if you can explain the comparisons between the movement and the Rani continue, and the Khomzong War, and the Lupila, and then the how, what kind of differences you see, because we have done a lot of research. We would like to hear something about that. And I will not take much time. Kita bangkoni itu saya saya ini so mami sendiri ni kami tanggung jawab sekali kita juga kan kuasa tentang itu ada kan mungkin jadi ada kan di ini na ini orang kami kita saya cuma sih ya tapi bisa ini. So thank you once again. I'd like to hear your insights and your future endeavors. Mostly, as you know, we have a lot of identifiers. That is one area. Second area is why, how this chapter of the Indian film can be popularized in the mainstream. That is one aspect which we would really like to learn.
Your earlier question, if you just put it down,
Thank you very much.
Production and felicitation of Speaker from Anglo-Kuki in Pipu, President Kuki in P. Karnataka. So, may I call upon Anglo.
I have the pleasure and privilege, though I'm not the most qualified to do this, small piece of work, but I do take pride in introducing our honored guest and speaker for this small, very short introduction. By now, he's very popular and is like a celebrity in the Rotary Society. And I was very glad to meet him today in London place. I have heard about you, all the more so after I got to know about the book you were working on, much before you published it. So it was a long pending desire to meet you, shake hands with you, and also thank you. Colonel Dr. Vijay is the alumnus of the most popular, famous National Defense Academy, and he served in the army in various battlefield, and also is a war veteran, Bangladesh war. And we have with us truly a hero, a champion, and who could be more qualified than writing this book? We have a war veteran. It deserves, and it is irony that it has to be from the military, and who's going to set the records right, the history. The fraternity of academicians, the so-called universities across the country, they have not bothered to do this. But we have, once again, the most reliable forces in the country, the army. I salute you, sir. And many of us have some army upbringing. So my father was also in the army. And I'm proud to say that we have the person himself today with us. And I was very pleasant. I was very glad when I interacted with him before this event. How, sincerely he has really done his work is very, very evident from the fact that he knows our system, our culture. He knows about our organization. And he knows that there is a Kuki in USA. I was telling him. And he has been trying to, interact with wherever we are settled across the world. So much of, I think, a commitment to deliver, to disseminate what he has written, what he has, the message written in this book. Colonel Vijay is not only an ex-retired colonel, he also was the founder of one organization which is a think tank. I think it's called the Indus International Research Foundation. He was the founder president. I don't know if he's still the president. He was still the president. Yeah. And he has written quite a lot of other books. In fact, he was telling me his latest book is still in draft version. So with this, I think this will be the third book he has written. The third book. And I was telling him that it is very tough to write books. I'm working on one book for the last 7 years. Very simple topic, not like the one he's written. And you can't be writing a book of this nature, in a period of very short period, because this could be controversial. Of course, it has generated a lot of opinion. I think he must be aware that how many, there are a lot of videos, unauthorized reviews going around from our very state, Manipur. There are communities who have objected to this or who have challenged this. Notwithstanding the fact, there are a lot of people who are having a different opinion. This is one small part of the history. This is not the whole complete history of the 1917 and 1919 battle, because there are a lot of other stories. What Colonel has done, I think he has sincerely attempted to analyze the military perspective. And what I really like about this is the wording that says victory in defeat. I think that is really the true spirit of Kukis. This is what we have to carry with us today, even when we go back home. This was not a matter of really, war. It was a matter of pride and dignity. Our forefathers, they rose up against the mighty British to protect their pride and their dignity, and also our future. Our future. So we salute the forefathers through this book, written very professionally by Dr. Vijay Chenji. I have the most pleasure, and I'm also very proud to introduce, once again, you have read about him, even in this book he is written. I'd like to introduce today's speaker in Dr. Colonel Vijay Chenji. Thank you so much.
At the outset, I would like to thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for taking your precious Sunday off to interact with me. It's a very, very formal meeting. I feel deeply honored that the community, your community from Bangalore, should come all the way taking because you work 6 days a week and you get one Sunday off for that. But it's for your community, and I feel very honored to be standing in front of you. I must confess, I'm not a good public speaker, but whatever I say it from my heart. And then there were one more thing I just want to highlight before I go on. The one is about the title of the book, because a lot of people ask, even in Chuchanpur, when this book was released, we had a lot of some journalist friends and all, and lots of people there, what exactly this means. It only means that it was a prolonged war, considering that it was a very small community, we didn't have any organized military structure, and it was just that the spontaneous part of the moment, with the war took place, and to hold on to the British for 2.5 years was not a mean thing. Ultimately, the Kukis, I won't say lost the war, but they were compelled to surrender because of certain things, which we'll later talk about. And but they did good. They lost the war technically, but they won the war in the sense, their honor was vindicated. They stood for certain principles, and that dignity is what sort of should have been highlighted, which I thought was consigned to the dustbin of history for no fault of Kukis. So I have served in Mizoram. That was my first encounter with Kukis, because at that time the peak of Mizo National Front led by Pul Aldanga was there. And then I served in Mizoram at that time during the peak insurgency period, and they got the Mizo National Army, which consisted of about 20% Kukis were also there. And there were times when some of these people used to surrender, and the Kukis surrendered not because they felt they were beaten down, but they felt, some of them felt, saying that, okay, they are fighting at Mizo National Army is fighting, MNF is fighting for the liberation of Mizoram. But what happens to us? What is our future? And some of the Mizo National Army and the Mizo National Front leaders could not sort of answer them. So they came over, and I used to, at times the police used to, debrief them, interrogate them and all that. They said, frankly, we do not know what our future is. That was the reason, not because they were scared or something, they did not surrender because of that. So the title of the thing was very clear. The book, in brief, lost the war, but they won the honor and the pride of the people, which we want to bring to the rest of the city and the world. I'll be happy to say that last 6 months I've been in UK, US and Canada. My children live there. I spent quite a lot of time this time. And there was one book on my way back at the New York airport. There was a very long layover at the John F. Kennedy airport. And then I am very fond of books. I was just at the booklet, I was seeing the latest arrivals were there, and I found my book there. And the book owner, she came and said, so this is one of the letters nobody would like to buy. I looked at her, I said, this is my book. She was delighted. He said, okay, I'll buy this book, please sign a picture for me. And that was a great honor for me. And I said, read the book and about the people, so that you get to know. She was a white American, and I hope, this is how the world spreads. Now, I already shared with you my experience in Mizoram. Thereafter, in the 90s, there was a bit of violence, and that is how the Kukis thing got highlighted, but it was more of a negative kind of vibration and negative reporting which happened, and that gave a lot of people a political handle to further put down the cookies, so the movement got suppressed. I am a member of Northeast Indian History Association, which is run by NEHU, that is the Northeast History University, Hill University, which is in Shillong. And every year, in one of these 7 states, and now the 8th state of Sikkim, they have these seminars. So the last seminar I attended was in Guwahati, and there was one which happened just last week on 10th, 11th and 12th. I was in US, I could not attend that, but I sent my papers. And then in 2019, when it was held in Guwahati, I wrote a paper on Anglo-Kuki law. That was the first time I wrote. Initially they were very hesitant, they said, we have not heard of this. I said, you better hear about it. So fortunately I was assisted by a girl, a young lady. She is from Chulchanpur, someone who are from that place may know her. Her name is Mercy Baite. She is a PhD scholar, I think she must have just finished. And I was trying to help her out on, she was doing something on Chanakya. So I said, Mercy, how about I'm writing this, can you help me with a little material? And when I presented the paper in Guwahati, I found that there was a group of people who were sitting. I didn't know so much about cookies then. Then after the presentation, they all came and said, sir, it was a brilliant piece of paper, we are so happy. And then one of them said, sir, why don't you write a book on this? I thought that, immediately I decided, I said, okay, I write. And I went to Shillong, Assam Rifles Museum, Archives, and there the curator is one Cookie gentleman. He helped me with all the things, and then I came to Imphal. And that was the time when this movie was being made. I met my friend, and there, I met him in Shillong with a couple of people. And I found the initial rushes of the movie, there is some inconsistency and distortion in the army's deployment and other things. So I suggested to Mr. Malviya, the director, that can these be corrected? You need some good army guy who can put the whole thing in the right thing. So he said, so why don't you help us out? I said, okay, I'm there. And then we went to Chanpur, and I went with the crew to a place called Handak, you all know. And we camped there. I was there for about nearly 2 weeks. And we went through a lot of soldiering, we had to live in very, very sparse kind of frugal conditions. And I roughed it out. It was there. It was very satisfying. Maybe if time permits, we can see glimpses of those shots which we have taken just for the benefit of the younger audience here. Now, I'll just run through some of the salient things. Yeah, I'll just take 15-20 minutes to just rush through this. Right now there is peace and lull, all is quiet in Manipur. At least as far as the Kuki movement is concerned. I visited some of the underground camps, which I talk later about during the question or answers. I share some of my personal feelings, and I interacted with some of the Kuki scholars and all. They feel the same. First about the book. It is basically a book about a military perspective. So I have briefly discussed the war, but I highlighted as an army man what I thought, what my impressions about the book was, because it was very difficult to compare a regular, professional, highly structured army fighting with some of the tribes who were, I won't say disorganized, they are not really disorganized, they were quite organized in their own way, but it's very difficult to integrate with no communications, they didn't have any standardization and all. So it was an unequal battle. And then, so students of military history will find it very interesting. I am now trying to introduce this book. In the army we have for the officers, all the young officers, they have to study military history. We study about Indo-Pak War, Egyptian-Israeli War, Arab-Israeli War. Then we talk about, the Russian war, we talk about American civil, we talk about all the things. Why not talk about your Anglo-Kuki war? And then there are exams wherein they have to prepare and they have to write. And on an average, 2,000 to 3,000 officers prepare for this exam every year. So if this book is introduced by the Military Training Directorate as one of the books to be studied as an unconventional how a guerrilla warfare is to be fought, I think this book would make a very, very good case study. So I am trying to take it up, and I am sure with your blessings and good wishes, if this book is accepted as a syllabus in the Indian Army, that would be the starting point. And one, an army is an all India character. We have people from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from Ukrul to Bhuj. We have people from all over the thing. We have CRP, DSS everywhere. And whosoever reads this, the word will spread very fast. And that's one of the ways we can take it forward, education. Apart from that, the national education policy, those of you who are in the field of academics would know that, a lot of things are being done. This is an opportunity. We'll try and figure it out how we can project it and take it to the next level. Now, the book highlights the hitherto unknown military skills of the Kuki community. It was not known, and it was not a plain revolt of common citizens, but an organized armed uprising against the British. The condition of whether it was a rebellion or whether it was a war is given in the book. I will not go into that. And I have argued my case very strongly as to why it was a war and it was not a rebellion. Because it got a totally different legal connotations. My friend is here in the legal expert. He will tell you more about that. Now, some of the drawbacks with the Kuki thing is they did not have a logistical sort of base support. Each village was self-contained. They were very prosperous. Let it not go away. A lot of people think people in the northeast were very poor, very backward. It's not that. A lot of these tribes were self-contained. Now, what is at the end of the day your self-containment? America is in heavy debt. There are big countries, European countries are in recession. UK is going through a recession in spite of all the money. But a small little villages, groups, they are self-contained. They grow enough crops. They have enough cattle. The women make enough household things. They are happy. See, that is what. And Kuki, by and large, they are very contented, economically, very self-contained, and this thing. But the whole thing was, but they didn't have a logistic base. They didn't have an organized army. They were in clusters. They were in spots all over. Now, whereas the British and Kukis, the soldiers, they did not have pay. They did not get allowances. There were no uniforms given. There were no arms given. Now, each village had their own set of arms. They had their own set of training. But they also had the tribal old procedures, like a dormitory, the local leaders, they had them. And the youngsters were never left to do their thing. They were all guided. And they formed the next one. And whenever there was any threat to that community, these people could muster at a short notice an army to defend that village or a group of villages. It came very, very spontaneously. And there was some kind of a discipline hierarchy between the elders, the middle level, and the youngsters. And the youngsters lived in dormitory, away from their parents, from morning to evening. It's all there, documented. But what happened between one village and another village, you had different chiefs, and everybody was in his own right. There are a lot of legal problems involved. How people will not say Christian and they will not. So they will say, even now there are people which are, he said, you have written, some people wrote to me from Manipur, you have highlighted so and so hero. But our heroes also, I said, but they are all Kukis. As far as I am concerned, they are all Kukis. So at time, as it is, you have a very small population. The first thing I tell them is, you grow your population. You must have your population, I don't know how to do it, but I think you are a very small community, and even that you are scattered. And even there, they say 3 cookies will never see 2 cookies are friends, but 3 cookies mean politics. Each will have their own view. It's a good thing, but then you can't stretch it too far. It will weaken your mood. Please close your eyes. There we are. Okay, please, whatever it is. For me, a cookie is. Yes. Don't get me wrong, but then I am just speaking the truth. The British troops were professional soldiers. They got their pay from the monarchy. They got from the King of England. Their pay came. Trade alliances, defense accounts. They had a very systematic thing. Assam rifles. They had pensions, they had pay, medical facilities, and all that thing. So they are professional soldiers. But for a Kuki, it was volunteer. For him, it was a question of honor. It was a question of survival of his own community. And yeah. Now, I just want to take a little thing on what are the highlights of Anglo-Kuki War. First of all, it was a war which was fought for over 2 years. No other king in India had about 560 princely states, and most of the princely states by 1950s, 1850s, they all surrendered themselves to the British. In 1958, the East India Company was officially taken over by your history. It was officially taken over. It came under the crown, the British crown. They were no more a trading company. So once it came under the British, the entire Indian states, all these kings automatically came under them. And some of the kings were given privy, they were given pensions, and the regents were there, British, who controlled them. They said, okay, you enjoy your stay, we will rule the country. This is what is happening. Same thing to happen to Manipur. And in Manipur, the regent is one gentleman by name Higgins, who was, I think, bad boy, who started all this. There were a lot of people who are not very clear. I am the first one who did research on Higgins, J.C. Higgins. And then I went to London, I tried to inquire where it is. He got a small little museum of his. I met David Hawkett, one of the Kuki. He's the vicar of your royal churches there. I had a lunch with him. We were supposed to meet there for half an hour, 45 minutes, but we had a long 3 hours thing that we should have got and a very fine gentleman. And recently, he keeps coming every year to Manipur, those of you who had the privilege of meeting him. Now, if you all know the background, I don't have to give it, it's all given in the book. In fact, I wrote it. Now, the background to this is British wanted labor for construction of infrastructure in France. Because in the First World War, what happened, Germany was very strong. They overran France. And after that, the next target was Britain. So Britain knew that Germany was at their doorstep. So they had to rebuild France. And they had to prevent an attack on England. So they wanted about 50,000 labor. And where the labor could come from? Other countries. India was under them. So they said, okay, you muster labor. And 2,000 labor was supposed to come from Northeast alone. Northeast. Northeast, I don't even mean Assam, but Manipur, Nagaland was not there at the time. Mizoram and these areas. It was basically Manipur. And the king had promised, okay, I'll give 2,000. And they were able to muster labor from, it was called the French Labor Code, and they were able to muster labor from Mizoram and Nagaland, where they signed, willingly. But when it came to the Kuki leader said, we will not do the labor job. You enroll on the soldiers, we will come, but we will not be coolies. Now, there was some miscommunication. Apparently, and J.C. Higgins was the one who called the shots because he was the regent in the palace with, at that time, the king there. And then these people, they tried to sort of get wrong. And also, at that time, there was a lot of destruction. There's so many people who went, they never came back, they died. There was some kind of a fear. That is also one of the reasons. And also they were not given the last burial, the rites and all that. So the people refused. But the bottom line was, Kuki said, we are traditional martial soldiers. Okay, you recruit as a soldiers, we will go, but will not do the job of, it was a question of dignity, it was a question of prestige. They stood their ground. So immediately the British underestimated the resilience and the seriousness of these chiefs. They didn't take them very seriously. They said, chalega. We'll just proceed, don't worry. And then a series of meetings started. Then you had the rituals of sacrifice of the methun and distributing that fire and the meat and all that. That was a code. A lot of people, what they don't understand is that ritual was a code because they didn't have, Kukis were not educated. They could not read, write, and all, could not document. Nothing was documented. It came by a tradition, a word of mouth. People saw their fathers, forefathers doing it, and it kept on going. Till, of course, missionaries came, and then there were a lot of changes which took place. So when this code circulated around, and this mithun was carried, and at the end it was sacrificed, that was the chasad, that famous wedding. And that was a flashpoint, and suddenly there was a spate of, violence which took place, and Britishers were absolutely taken aback. They said, what's happening? All of India, we never seen any, this kind of a backlash, and here they see this missionary community, and suddenly they all woke up, So that was the defiance of British Kuki to enroll as labor. Now, British Army started retaliating, strict measures. The whole battle which took place in 2 years can be described in 3 phases. I'll just put it in 3 lines in order to save time. In the first phase, the Kuki ambushes and they built stockades. Stockades are basically some kind of a fortress for your villages. They got all the local timber, they knew how, they were good carpenters, and they had a lot of military skills, how to make obstacles. They made those punjies, those spikes. Nobody could attack a village. And they had some very good firearms. Their Kukis were very good, bows, arrows and all that. They had firearms. British were absolutely shocked to learn because somewhere in 1893 and all, they had given amnesty. Please surrender all your arms. So obviously all that junk of puta, they give it to them. The real one, they had kept it. And suddenly it came out in 1971. So people were shocked, where did this come from? And in some places they used small little cannons. And cannons, modified cannons, made out of mithun thing that was explosives. And it was one-time use, but it was deadly. And they used gunpowder. And gunpowder, they used it with, I went and saw the manufacturing. Every house, they had the urinals, they collected the urine, they extracted the sulfur out of that. No, this is all the job of scientists. And now I heard Kuki saying, I said, why don't you become doctors, engineers and all? He said, no, scientific. I said, you were just into history and philosophy and, theosophy and all that. So, no, science is not our. I said, what? Nonsense. Your forefathers were great scientists. The Britishers were surprised, where is so much of gunpowder coming from? Because no other place nearby was supplying. And the British are good intelligence. They said, next time, घर में ही बनाता है. And they have seen how they make. And the clips sometimes they can share. So that was the first phase. In the second phase, here in the first phase, Kuki dominated. They shook the British. British then had to get help from Burma, police, and the Assam Rifles from India. They had 3-4 battalions. Some of these battalions were supposed to go for the World War I to Europe. They changed. They said, no, this is our priority. What can you fight in France when you can't hold up? So you can see the seriousness of them. British were very, very, very smart. They were very smart. They could analyze the whole problem. Then Shakespeare came at that time. And then there was a Major General who was deputed. He took the whole operation under his command. And from Burma, the police came from the east to west. And Assam Rifles, Burmese, they acted as an anvil and a sledgehammer. So you need an anvil, you need a sledgehammer. They stopped all the movement of Kukis who were try to escape. And then from this side, Assam rifles cornered them. So this was phase 2. After initial efforts, this is British recovered, reorganized their resources. They gave a lot of funds, and they took very tough measures. And where the British did certain things which is unethical, because later on you have the Geneva Convention state what the armies can do, what the armies can't do. For instance, you cannot poison a well where the troops are there. The pipeline is there, water tank is there, you cannot poison that. You cannot use viruses. You cannot use pandemic kind of diseases and all that. So as per Geneva Convention, the rules are very clear. The law is very clear on that. But British, what they did was, the Kuki leaders were fighting the war in order to compel them to surrender. They burned their crops, they killed their cattle, all the poultry and all. They had Kuki had a nice granary system. They used to have enough food grains for the next season, and they burned the whole lot of them. And they burned their houses. There were pregnant women, there were small children. They were very ruthless. So when some of their leaders who could not see the plight of their old parents, children, they came and surrendered. Now that was the way ultimately they won the war. It's not a very, and I spoke to a lot of people whom I know and all. I said that, and they agreed. The present generation of British are different. Then in the third phase, they consolidated their gains and went on a counteroffensive. And in the counteroffensive, a lot of key leaders were pressurized to surrender, and their families were held to ransom, which I already said. Kuki surrendered, and there was a trial carried out. A lot of them were given, rigorous imprisonment. Then the next started, the civil reform they started. They reorganized the territorial jurisdictions, and the Kukis, which were they're all, some of them were moved to Burma, some of them were, and they made sure that they did not stay as a bloc, because that would have created a problem. They dispersed the Kukis all over. So that weakened them politically. They created a rift between the Nagas and the Metis. Earlier the Kukis were around the hills and all. They had a very good relationship with the royals. There was mutual respect. Their territories were never clear. Kuki land was there, so this never belonged to them, and neither side claimed that. But later on, they got so much of that. Today, you find there's Metis and Kuki. There's always a little standoff. In fact, when I wrote the book, I got some very, very critical things from a lot of Metis who were trying to support them. I said, I'm only bringing out the truth. You should also accept this. I said, they don't have any hard feelings. Why should you? I said, I'm waiting for a dialogue. You come and convince me. I said, what is that problem happening? Same thing about the Naga. They said, no, this is thankful, you have all those things. They're all very pretty. I said, just like you have Kuki is one, Northeast is one. You people should unite if you want to progress. How long can you keep on fighting? Life is very short. So now, Kukis who were once upon a time dominating that entire, they become a political entity, a non-entity. Today, you have a very small population, even that is not very clear. Nobody has been able to document. I've been trying to search, the tribal ministry of tribal thing and all. There are so many, the figures are very, very confusing and very, very contradicting. So just about 4 or 5 lakhs, or maybe more or less, I don't know. Now, what is the future ahead? Okay, on one hand, you have a glorious history, you have something to fall back upon, you can proudly say, but you cannot survive on that. But that can be used always as a credential, because you have got a background. And I'm glad that so many people are in Bangalore. Some of you have been there for 20, 30 years and all. Same thing. There are a lot of, I travel a lot. Wherever I go, I do find plenty of cookies. And I think the last 7 or 8 years, there's a lot of infrastructure changes which are going on. There was a time when you did not have a graduate among the Kuki in the 60s and 70s. Even 80s, there was hardly anybody. But today, any university you go, they're all doing doctorates, they're scholars, they're PhDs. Every time I go, I get to meet the scholar community, and they are very, very open, because unless you come out to see the rest of the country, being here in country, like in US, the Indians are doing a great job, CEOs of all top companies, world top hospitals, engineering firms, everything is run by Indians, including we have UK Prime Minister of Indian origin. There are a lot of changes which are taking place. So you being here, being in good job, doing a lot of things, I know a lot of you are in service industry, but no matter where you can do a lot for back home for your people there. Okay. Now, the jobs in armed forces, Kuki is basically they have natural skills, they are natural fighters, they come from a very martial race if you look at it. For hundreds of years, there's one chapter in my book which I said that you must find there can be very, very good sharpshooters and commandos, special groups, anti-terrorist groups. They raised in Nagaland regiment in 1971. I remember at that time in Rani K in Kumaon Hills at that time. And then they have got 2 Mizo companies there. But Kukis are there in CRP and a few of Assam rifles and all. But I said they said we don't have enough population. I spoke to some of the former deputy chief of the army staff. He said the problem is, even if you start, when people retire, we don't have enough people coming in because the population is so small. So I said, okay, make it then companies, special forces, something like that. Maybe at some point of time it will change because Kukis were branded as bad boys by the British and they completely tried to erase their identity. Okay, which is what he mentioned, which is not there in our history books are very distorted. We are talking about a small thing, even our own Indian history books, other than the Nehru Gandhi family and the Mughal, there is nothing in the history books. But today a lot of things are. I am doing a little research on the largest Khan, so that Assamese thing. He was the one who fought the Mughals and 17 times they defeated. He is not mentioned anywhere. But today, the Ahom dynasty people, he was one of their top generals. Khan, that largest Khan. And I know, I'm sure some of you may be knowing or fond of history. So, then the Kukis are very good at their skill job, they are good in sports, very good in sports. It's time you think you come out more, you try and get it, you have to earn your identity. Our job is only. My next, in fact, there are a lot of demands and requests from people when I went to Guwahati, when I went to other places, wherever I was talking, saying that this sciences you must study and engineering and other things, sports. They said, why don't you write a sequel to this book of social sciences? I said, I am a soldier, I can write something, but on social, I want to do more studies about history, get to know your own tribes. And you should come out very honestly, all your weaknesses, your good points. Kukis are very bad diplomats. You cannot argue with it. When I say bad diplomats, that diplomacy is an art which they should have. They could have negotiated. There was a time when the British came down on the knees in phase 1. They were so shaken, they said, okay, we'll give you what they want. But some of the leaders said, no, you have done a wrong thing. They said, okay, you have done a wrong thing. Tell me how we can. But they would not listen because it was beyond their control. There is no communication. Each one of them, so somebody defied somebody else, and so there's a little bit of diplomacy which is required, which will come through, I think, gradually by education. And Kuki, you must undertake research. You're all ambassadors from the Kuki land, and you must set exemplary conduct. I'm sure you all people are enjoying. Beautiful Bangalore is a beautiful city, the main city, and it absorbs all the people, welcomes all the people. So it's very nice. I belong to Bangalore, although because of my army and most of the time I was going out, I had my early education here. And that's about it. I think I have taken more time than what was given to me. Now I'm over to question and answers.
I'm happy Rashish of the Anglo-Kuki World movie. which was lovingly brought by our chief guest of today. So,
This particularly was a raw rehearsal. I had not prepared. We were supposed to shoot later on, but a heavy rain and all important.
Right now, I'm on one of the highest literatures in the northwest of Bangalore, close to Hamlet called England. We are doing a documentary on the Anglo-Kuki War of 1917-1919. We had a sample of the Kuki warriors in their typical local dress, which was at that time cooking, and the world to know how these brave people, they put up a valiant fight against the British to protect their honor and show their courage. What you just saw was a sample of the ferocious battle cry which was heard 100 years ago by the ancestors of this glorious clan, the Kukis. 100 years ago, it sent a chill up the spine of the British forces when there was a war between the British forces and the Kukis for the Anglo-Kuki War 1917 to 1919. It was then that this handful of men, brave warriors, whose ancestors took on the might of the British Army. The Kukis were compelled to take this armed action for the simple reason that they refused to surrender to the diktats of the British when they wanted to enroll them as voters. They felt it was demeaning and insulting. They refused to go down to the dictates of the British, whereas the other tribes in the region had already signed for French labor force, which was to be utilized in France. This angered the British, and the negotiation between the Kukis and the British failed, and thereafter the Kukis tried their best to negotiate. You know, come up. 波嘅，揾扎招嘅事。冇得咩？還是看這個問題，沒這個好，沒這個好，沒這個好，沒這個好，沒這個好，沒這個好，沒這個好。注意啊！這個屁股啊！這個屁股痛啊！做什麼？做過來，這個醫生這麼累，過着哪里？
Gentlemen, what you just saw was a small little clip. So this film is about 2 hours. Half the film was made and due to some reasons, it was put on hold. Now I'm told that the film again is going to be restarted. When this film was initially conceived and it was planned that my book and the film is going to be released at the same day in Mani in Imphal. And somehow that couldn't, and we even thought we would do it in Delhi. But somehow due to some reasons, it could not work out. But this is, I don't have few other clips. I wish I could have shown. Some of them are really very, very good. Some of you may be knowing that one of your very good singers is there. Her name is Helen Boy, who sings very, very well. She was a part of the thing. And there's a very little romantic interludes also, how a soldier is going away for a war and how his lover feels and all that. It's a very well picture. I hope you get to see. Now these are all some copyright issues are there. It's only I showed it, shared it as a friends. So it's not to be discussed. It is just for you because the new movie is going to come on in any case. If you got any questions, I can take it on.
Now let's proceed to the next item. That will be a Q&A round. This will be led by Godhang Lancha as well as Mrs. Hingdongwell, who is currently our treasurer. So I call upon Lancha and Hingdongwell to conduct the Q&A.
Other questions. Let me just read it out, sir. This is a question from Pastor Tonglen Lodzem. Let me just read it out. He said, "Sir, we are really honored to have you today. I'm writing about our people, Kukis, the neglected people in the Indian history who fought the mighty Britishers. Hope and pray that your book will enlighten the people of India about the forgotten mighty warrior who fought for the freedom of India." So here comes his question. He says, number one, what makes you to write this book based on the Kuki Anglo-War? That's his first question. Second, do you have any further plan to research about the Kukis?
The question what motivated me to write about the book was very clear because I thought there are very few examples and instances in Indian history when a small community could take on the huge British army, because even most of the very big kings at that time, whether they are Marathas or Rajputs or all these kings, they feared the British. But how these small groups, which were not really integrated, they were not, they were a loose kind of organization yet. What is that motivated? So this was a kind of, it mystified me. So I thought I should get into the truth of it, and I was very happy. Like I said, when I submitted the paper along with your Mercy Lete, she was a co-author during the seminar. It really got interested, so I thought I should go into the details and write this book from the military perspective. Because tactically, I thought the Kukis were far superior. It is only that the British had solid administration behind them. And a war like this normally cannot sustain if you are not organized logistically. So the Kukis, if it was only a 1 month, like one day cricket or T20, T20 or something like that, Kukis would have won all the 5 matches. But this was a long drawn war. And it didn't come easily to the British. The British spent 28 million pounds. It's a very, very big amount. In today's terms, you can say it is about 3-4 billion pounds they lost. It was not easy for the British also to swallow that thing. So they did put up a good fight. The second thing is, I do want to research. I want to write about the social, economic thing and the future of the way forward for the Kukis. not future, I'm too small a man. But what is the way forward to the cookies from my point of view? Not from my point of view, from a cookie point of view. How should they go forward? So that I'm thinking, with your support, cooperation, you all feel I should do it?
Yes.
The first book which I wrote, I must here thank and compliment all the cookies, because I got it published with Notion Press and they put it on Amazon and things like that. And the first one to buy this book, it was released on 15th of January this year at Tirthanpur, and that day we had a crowd of about 500 people. The local people were all there, and the book had been printed in Guwahati, because the Notion Press said we cannot print so many books, we can print maximum of 100, and shipping those 100 to Tirthanpur would cost me 11,500 rupees. I said, I don't have that kind of money. Yes. I said, you give me the soft copy. So they gave me the soft copy. I got it published in Guwahati with Professor Hauke, with his help. And he got it printed at a very fair price, and he brought it in one or two vehicles all the way to Tirthanpur. He sent it there. Very kind of him. A big round of applause for Dr. Walker. And then he said, how many copies should I print? I said, how many copies do you think will sell? Because for every copy I got to pay as an author. So he said, when I asked Manyo, the local MP and all, they said, we'll take 500 to 600 books. So when I spoke to the professor there at the printing press, they said, you get 1,000 copies printed, it will come cheaper. I said, who will buy? And I'm very touched and proud to say that all 1,000 copies got sold. And at the end of it, we didn't have copies, so I just said, get other 50 copies hardbound and keep it there. So it is still, like somebody asked about 10 copies. I said, okay, set it here, 5-10 copies. After this, I like that. You'll be surprised that somebody, when I was flying back from Guwahati to Bangalore, I was just going through the book. This is the only copy I had. And the air hostess, she said, sir, what is this book you are reading? I said, this is a book written to me. He says, can I buy it? So I said, if you are really, she was from Arunachal Pradesh. I said, if you are really, really interested, I'll give it to you. I mean, you don't need to pay. So she insisted on buying. So I said, okay, I give it away, so I don't have a book. I want the online copies are there, but wherever I go, I just see that thing. There's only one copy. In my own colony, about 5-6 people had bought it, so when I want it, I just refer. It happens sometimes, So the next copy, if I get that kind of for an author, it's not about making money, because at my stage in life, I don't need to make it. I get 2 times ka waqt ka roti mil jata hai. I just want to share, and the next book, I promise you, it will be much, much better book, and it will be much more interesting. More and more people should read in India about this, and in India and the world.
Amen.
That's it.
The next question is from Pastor Andrew. He's here. Can you please? Thank you. And Pastor, the previous question was from him. So the question is, what does it mean by the phrase "victory in defeat"? In which way Kuki won the war? So, sir, there's 3 questions. The next one is your book entitled "The Anglo-Kuki War, 1917 to 1919." I'm just reading it as it is. Do Kuki as a nation considered an independent nation in fighting the mighty Britishers? Based on the Linguistic Survey of India, Vote 3, Part 3, Kukis live in her independent hill country. So, Pastor Andrew quoted from the Linguistic Survey of India, the book. And the third, is there any hope for Kuki people politically?
I can only answer this question about the Kuki the peoples as an independent state or something within the framework of whatever the Indian Constitution is. We have first of all, even bigger states, which have got, let's say, 4 crores, 5 crores population, find it very, very difficult to sustain as an independent nation. but some kind of an autonomous kind of a thing. I don't know, I'm not a politician, I don't understand much of this, except that anything within the framework of the constitution should work fine, and there are a lot of advantages of being a part of a very big nation. Like there are so many countries in and around the United States, they all want to be part of it, because when you're part of it, you get those resources for your development. But we have very hostile neighbors, on the northern border, and the thing. Any small nation have got no future, no survival. They just swallow it up. You see what is happening to Nepal, Bhutan is threatened, and the biggest issue is Kuki hasn't got a contiguous land. They don't have one parcel of land. In a large, you have 100 square feet here and 200 square feet there, 300. In between, there are large gaps. But somewhere together, if you negotiate with your neighbor and for a continuous one piece of land, first of all, you got to get your thing. But an identity, Kuki identity, can be built within the framework of the constitution. Your cultural identity is important. Your cultural identity, people should recognize it. In fact, the last time, which was this place, I had gone to Delhi. It is not Delhi, Punjab border. I was going in some restaurant. I found a young boy who was from so he was working in Uttarakhand, and I was talking to him. I said, "Are you from? Where are you from?" He said, "From Northeast." I said, "Where in Northeast?" He said, "Manipur." So I said, I couldn't make out. I said, "Are you Kuki?" So he looked at me stunned. He says, "How do you know?" I said, I just thought so. I said, "But why do you feel ashamed in saying that I'm a Kuki in the first place?" Yeah, you can say I am a Kuki from Northeast. That's about all. That's So that identity you should have, your cultural identity, your ancestral wanting, be proud of it. But as a separate nation, I don't think it is a possibility, because it is not easy, and more so since you don't have a single part. Which part of Manipur can you claim as yours? You're all in town pocket, you're all in hill areas and all that thing. So that's it. Beyond that, I don't know much about it. And I think I answered all the question.
Thank you, Dr. Kolonial, for your answer. I respect what you say, because it should be even within the framework of the Constitution, I understand. But the point that I asked is that before this 1917 to 1919, linguistic survey of India was written by British itself. So in that, the principle, it says that there are Kuki hill countries, and they give all the borders also. So I'm asking is it British thought that these Kuki people has their own independent country? That was my point in their mind when they were fighting this. No, it was before this fight. So that was my question.
I got your point. These are all unadministered areas, in my own limited understanding. Because there was no survey which had been carried out. Even today, if you see the area of Northeast, and there are a lot of these forests, hills, they are not clearly demarcated hills. It was a kind of loose boundaries and understanding between the valley people, the Meiteis or the rulers, and the thing. The British had not earmarked, demarcated to claim it as their own. Okay, that is why that question, that initially background, if you read, I tried to explain it there, saying that the British assumed that it was part of their territory and therefore they call it a rebellion. But Kuki, they said, where is this Gazette notification that it is a part of our thing? They considered it as an independent thing. And that is why they waged a war against them. Kukis called it a war. So technically, I think Kukis were right. But the present thing, if you look at it, I don't know the latest. I think there is a negotiation going on about these other things. There are some people who are already involved from both sides, trying to sort of like it. I'm not very clear on it. Thank you so much.
The question is comparative analysis or differences. Okay. So the question is comparative analysis or differences between the Anglo-Kuki War and other freedom movements of Manipur, like Rani Gaidinlu movement, Kongzong War, or Upila. So this is a comparative analysis or differences.
Yeah, now the other freedom comparative movement, you can't really compare them. There were some individuals, who fought, and then it never really achieved those levels. But Anglo-Kuki War, if you look at it, if you document, I think this is the first time some effort has been made to document, collect data, although Vijay Chenji in his book, The Sentinels of Northeast or something, he was a DK of some rifles. When I was doing my training in the Indian Military Academy in Dehradun, he was my commandant. And later on he wrote this book. And then in that he has tried to give out the Assam Rifles action, details. He has not spoken about Kuki. What was the action, military operation that the Assam Rifles did? And they fought against, they tried to suppress the Kuki movement because they formed part of the British forces. So there I gathered some of the things. You cannot compare any of these single individual revolts which took place. They are very insignificant and they happened much after the Kuki War. But as I tell you, in terms of cost, it may not have costed the British much. But in the Anglo-Kuki War is a properly documented war. See, if you look at the Karnataka wars, Karnataka and British wars, if you look at the Maratha wars, Anglo-Maratha war or Anglo-Punjab war and all these things, some of this Karnataka war, it lasted for 3 days, 5 days and 7 days. Yet Britishers gave it, and there were only 300-500 people involved in some of these wars. They were small little more than a skirmish, I would say. But the Anglo-Kuki War was fought for 2 years, although it was, there were large gaps in between, 2 to 3 months, nothing happened. And then at that time, the press was also not very active. And it was only 6 months after the first incident took place, in Calcutta it was published in a local paper. Some newspaper guy put it there, otherwise the world did not know. The rest of the British in India also, nobody knew about it. So the press was not there and it happened in the interior. But today, if this book can form a stepping stone, I would say a foundation, researchers from your community should build on to this and write more aspects, political aspects, especially the political part of it. This book provides a foundation for you to build on. Like you build a building, this is the first brick which has been laid. You can take it up from here. And I don't think you should even compare this with Rani's and or whatever, and a few other things. I read all those things, but they are very, very small. They are mainly symbolic. They were done to project, bring in some kind of identity to that people. The local leaders when they are brought, the people, this is all the political thing. But Kuki War is unique. I mean, it stands out. You cannot compare them. Actually, military, none of these are not any military aspect. Mine is based on a military analysis has been carried out about Kuki strength and.
Good evening, sir. Myself, Bob Akikian, I'm superintendent of Central Tax, presently posted at Bangalore. Sir, I have gone through your books, this Anglo-Kuki War, and the book is also with me, and I find it very interesting and easy to comprehend. I find the books very informative. For some person or some people, I would say this may be just a piece of books, but I would say this books is a treasure for the Kukis, because they will treasure these books forever. My question is coming to my question, sir. Some writers, scholars call these conflicts between the Kukis and the Britishers, 1917-1919 as rebellions. Britishers will call it rebellion, Kuki rebellions. Some scholars call it an uprisings. So my question is, what prompts you to say that the conflict between the Kukis and the Britishers in 1970 to 19 is a war, not a rebellion. You have briefly mentioned in your speech also, but you have not elaborated the reasons. So if you don't, I want to know why you call this as a war, not a rebellion. That's my question. And the second question is, so as you know, after every war, there is a consequences impact. I just want to make one reference. During the first Second World War, before the First World War, in the Second World War, the tragedy of Palestine was mostly inhabited by the Palestinians, not the Israelis. But after the Second World War, the Israelis were in good terms with the Britishers. Were given most of the places. Of course, in the Bible, the promises for the Israelis, but the Britishers have given the Palestinian to the Israelis. In the same way, the Kukis were never in good terms with the British. As you know, there was Anglo-Kuki war. About that, the Kukis also joined the INA. When the INA movement was at its peak. So, it was obviously the Kukis were not in good terms, were not in the good books of the Britishers. So, we have also mentioned that the Kukis, we don't have proper lands to claim. What I feel is, it must be because of that also, because after the Anglo-Kuki war, and the Kukis favoring the INA, most of the lands, the Kukis were suppressed by the Britishers. Many of our villages were burned down and uprooted. So, most of the people, my forefathers, have left their lands. So, it might be because of that reason also we have a problem today. Now, even in today's people used to call us foreigner. He became a foreigner owner. So my second question is, do you have any plan of writing about the impact or the consequences of Anglo-Kuki on the Kukis in particular, or the impact or consequences in the North East India? These are my two questions. Thank you, sir.
I'm not sure if I understood your question rightly, but I have got an idea. In fact, when I spoke in Guwahati, I said the same thing. You know, Kuki is a lot like the Israelis. The Israelis were, that's the Temple of Solomon when it was reduced to a rubble, and they were persecuted. The Jews were thrown from Palestine, and then they dispersed all over the world 2,000 years ago. And they mostly migrated to places like Europe, Russia, and in India also they came to this place, Kerala. And most of the places they got persecuted, the only place where they really got some honor and respect, dignity was in India and in Bombay to some extent. But they all, before leaving, they had made a vow that somewhere we will come back and we will claim our land. Okay. And for centuries, day after day, every Jew family, they kept on teaching the children about the Judaism, the history of the Jews, and how one day we want to go back. And it is only that persistent, and ultimately, under the Balfour Declaration, I think it was soon after the First World War, the British promised them that we will get this Palestinian land. It was a very small land, and the moment it was declared, during 1948, Israel was declared as a state, all the Jews the world over, they did not know each other's language. Somebody was a Russian Jew, somebody was a French Jew, somebody was an Italian Jew. They did not have a common language. And they started Hebrew right from the beginning, and today they are one of the most formidable nations. Like I said, unfortunately, for any race or anybody to have it, you must have some land which has been identified by you, one common parcel of land where you are all together, you are all that. It is there, but it is not documented. And one of the reasons why it is not documented is these cultures. They were very advanced. They wrote books even then, literature. Cooking had more of that word of mouth, what we call in Sanskrit a shruti. Shruti is not just by word of mouth sound. There is nothing documented. So I only hope under the present circumstances some kind of identity, cultural identity we can gain, and within the framework of the Indian Constitution which we all come together, some kind of autonomous, I don't know, I'm very complicated on this. I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but however identity, first of all, there has to be a claim that it is your land. The claim has to be on the basis of some document or something. It's all been destroyed. The British completely after the war, they displaced the Kuki. They scattered them all over so that they don't pose a threat to them. And the land were taken, these land, like in India you have Patta land, Sata land, and all, there was no such thing. Just the tribal boundaries. And certain people know that these soil, this area is very soil, this area is soil, this separated by the boundary of a river, this range. So there are no documents. So it's I think it is for the researchers to sit down and see. Thank you.
A round of applause for the tickets and for visiting government and culture. There was a wind-up of what to and around. Now let's proceed to the next item as we are about to end. It will be a time for the treasurer of KSO Bangalore, Mrs. Thomas, for her bold speech. And after her time is over, without me standing up, I would like Pastor Andrew for the benediction prayer. Now let's give the guys to Mrs. Thomas.
Hi, on behalf of the Peace Students Organization Bangalore, I want to start by saying that personally, as someone who really has keen interest on history, and specifically Kuki history in particular, and literature in general, we are beyond grateful to Colonel Vijay for taking all the initiative for someone from the mainstream to come up with a book entitled The Anglo-Kuki War 1917-1919. We are beyond grateful, and I hope the coming future generation will continue to acknowledge your contribution. And as I stand here, I just want to say thanks to each and every individual who participated in making this interaction program a success. And I want to end by saying that the inscription as our national anthem reads Satyameva Jayate, which reads as Truth Alone Triumphs. And deep in my heart, as I was watching the video, as I was watching the documentary, I definitely felt that truth has triumphed. So many forces tried to erase the history of the Kukis, but these books stand as a testament that truth will triumph, and it will continue to triumph even in the days to come. So thank you, Colonel, for that. I am a proud Kuki themselves and a proud Indian, and I hope I will be until I die. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate the landlady sentiment. I also want to make one correction so that I am not misinterpreted or correctly understood. Whenever I talk about within the framework of Indian Constitution, like she said, we are all Indians, and as per the Constitution, we are all part of the same region. If you have a geographical area, a contiguous area, when I say contiguous, it's not that there is a great small piece of land, there is a contiguous area. Some of you who have all money, you can buy those lands and make it contiguous. So that again there is one piece, and then you can say, why don't you make it a union territory? No, union territory can be a very good solution, but union territory you need to have land, you need to have population. So these are also the people simultaneously. So You need a political identity. Today you don't have. You have only a cultural identity. See, but by bringing this, more and more people, of course, you have a lot of heartburns even around your place. You will have the neighbors there and you will say, in fact, somebody has written in other paper, who is this term Chenji who wants to divide us? You know, there have been very adverse comments also. I don't mind it because of that political level, I still get every second day motion from saying that 2 books or 3 books or that is still get controversial.
Thank you, Dr. My third question was answered with that. Is there any hope for Kuki people politically? That was my third question. Then what you had said was the answer for that. Thank you. Let me pray for the conclusion. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today, and also thank you for the time that you have given to us with Colonel Dr. Vijay, who love our people and who brought our history and wrote in a book that people can see and interact with him even today. Yes, we run out of time. We would like to say thank you for your guidance from the beginning. Help us to be a good citizens and also give us love to one another, not to divide, but to love one another and support one another, so that our community may be better than this. As we're going to look forward to the next book, Lord, we pray that bless our writer, and also we pray that whenever he is going and do research work, I pray that please be with him and then guide him in the way that what he wants to achieve and he wants to show forth to our people who keep at the same time of our nation India, so that all of us may know that we have some history which is to cherish and which would make our people united and serve the nation and live together in peace. Thank you, Father, for being with us today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.